Maxwell is saying this about Luka.
Skip, I think we need to get a little backdrop because most people, a lot of basketball people in the circles know him as Cornbread Maxwell. And he was a heck of a basketball player, and people might not remember this, Skip, but he was Finals MVP in 1981 over Larry Bird. He came a couple of years before Bird, and the starting lineup was Bird, McHale, Parrish, and Cornbread Maxwell. That was a hell of a starting five, Skip. Skip, I didn't second guess this, but I told you years ago, I said, Skip, he's the closest thing that we've seen since Larry Bird. Now, Skip, he's not the shooter that Larry Bird is. Larry Bird was a two-time 50-40-90 guy, Skip. 50% from the floor, 40% from the three, 90% from the free throw line. Nobody else has done it more than once. Bird did it twice. Three-time three-point shooting contest winner. So we know what he could do shooting the basketball. But, Skip, his ability, and you look at his body, you look at Bird's body, Skip, you're like, ain't none of these guys about to live in no workout contest, but they will light your butt up. They can't get up and down the court like Russ or John Wall. They can't leap out the gym like Zion Williamson. But I tell you what they can do. They play at their pace. You can't speed them up. You can't slow them down. They're going to get to their spot, and they're going to let it go. And there's nothing you can do about it. Now, Larry Bird, people might not know this, but Larry Bird was a 24, 10, and 6 guy. Let that sink in. Average 24 for a career. 10 rebounds for a career. 6 assists for a career. Now, although Luka, as I said, Skip, he's not the shooter, but he can rebound and facilitate just as good as Larry Bird. Now, you just realized, Skip, he just had a birthday yesterday. The guy's 22. Let that sink in for just a second. He's 22, and he's 19 clear of anybody with triple doubles at that same age. Skip, and the guy, you remember the buzzer beater that he hit against the Clippers last year in the playoffs, and then against the Boston Celtics. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy, Skip, hit a three to give a team the lead. The other team comes back down the court, hit another shot, they take the lead back, and then he comes right back and hit another three for the winner at 21 years of age. Skip, he's the closest thing that I've seen, and you know what I think of Larry Bird. He was my favorite player. I had the T-shirts. I had the posters stuck up to that cinder block cement home that my grandmother had that I put tape on the back of the posters so they would stick to the wall. Yes, I had the Larry Bird posters. I had the Larry Bird shoes. I had the Larry Bird T-shirts. Skip, Luka Doncic is the closest thing that I've seen since Larry Bird. I'm not going to say he's going to be better or for worse because Bird was a 3-time consecutive. He's the last guy to win 3 consecutive MVPs. In an era with Jordan, Kareem, Magic, and Olajuwon, and Charles Barkley, and Karl Malone, he won 3 in a row. So that speaks to what he is, what he was. But Skip, Luka's the closest thing we've seen to him.
Okay, let me state my case by starting with the fact I was not a Larry Bird guy. I was a Magic man. Till death do I part. I still am. So this isn't about me trying to defend my favorite player because he was not my favorite player. Larry Bird was not. Cedric Maxwell, Cornbread, is now a radio commentator for the Boston Celtics. I am shocked that he is making this case because he's going so far as you're just saying closest thing to. He's saying this is Larry Bird reincarnated. He goes on to say that this is a carbon copy of Larry Bird. Really? That is absolute, utter blasphemy, especially from a man who actually covers and comments on the Celtics, who is part of the, dare I say, Celtics family. To your point, he was the MVP in Larry's first finals, and he deserved it.
Don't you give him some credit?
Okay,
but don't you give him some credit, Skip, having played with Larry?
Yeah,
yes.
But it actually starts to come across to me as a little bit of jealousy of Larry's legend, a little bit of resentment of just how big Larry remains in Celtics Nation. And to go that far, to say that he's already better than Larry was at this age, well, that's a problem because Larry was at Indiana State at this age, right?
Yeah, he was. He was a senior.
Yeah, he was a senior at Indiana State. Okay. Now let's go back and start to compare. What do we see from Luka? Well, we see a lot, and I give you the rebounding, and I definitely give you, he is a gifted passer. I don't know if he's exactly up to Larry Bird's, because Larry Bird was at the highest echelon of distributing the basketball. I don't know if I see that yet, but he's very good at passing the basketball. Yet, by the standards of a superstar, a guy who was the front runner, the MVP favorite going into this year, he's a lousy shooter. He's lousy, Shannon. You can't. Larry Bird was a great shooter. I'll just say this. Luka is below average. He's actually improved a little from three. He's up to 35%. It's kind of in the LeBron range.
Yes.
That ranks 130th of 167 qualified three-point shooters, 130th. He's actually improved a little bit at the free throw line. He's up to 75.9%, even though a week ago tonight against Memphis, he was 2 for 9 from the free throw line, was Baby Bird. 2 for 9? Larry Bird led the NBA in free throw shooting 4 times. Think about that. 4 times he led. 5 times he shot better than 90%. For his career, he's almost a 90% free throw shooter for his career. Well, you're disqualified from that argument right there because you're up to 75.9. That's your career best so far. Then, go ahead.
He's never going to be Larry Bird shooting the basketball. I don't believe he'll ever be Bird shooting the basketball.
Well,
not from three, not from mid-range, not from the free throw line.
I don't even see a glimpse. I don't see faint hope of that. And then he does turn the ball over. Larry turned the ball over at a fairly high rate, but this is a higher rate because Luka has led the NBA in turnovers much of the year. He's now fallen back to 3rd. Way to go. So he's improving slightly. But now we get to the key stat. This is the disqualifier in the Larry Bird comparison. This is clutch shooting. You mentioned the one game he has had, which was last Tuesday night against Boston at Dallas. That's the only game. Going into that game in the regular season over the last 2 regular seasons on potential game-tying or go-ahead field goal attempts in the final minute of regulation or overtime, would you believe Luka was 0 for 13 going into that game? And to your point, he got all the way up to 2 out of 15 because he did it twice, ironically, against Larry's old team. In the last minute. He did it twice with 15.8 seconds and then 0.7 seconds. He did. God bless him. He pulled it off twice with 2 threes. And to your point, in the playoffs last year, he did hit the game winner, the walk-off against the Clippers without Porzingis in obviously a series that was ill-fated for them because it was basically Luka against the Clippers. But I give you those 3 shots he made. But 0 for 13 going into last Tuesday's game in Dallas? Really? Well, that's horrendously unclutch.
It is, Skip, but I think the thing is that you're looking at a 20-year-old player with grown men, and although he's played with grown men basically his entire career since he was about 15 to 16, now you're seeing the development. You're seeing him, the understanding. Skip, it's not like you don't see Luka shooting catch-and-shoot threes. Everything is dribble, step back. I mean, have we seen him shoot anything other than a step back 3? I mean, James Harden might have started it and mastered it, but Luka is coming in a strong second. I mean, it's almost like, you know, they will free up Steph and Steph will get some catch and shoot threes, but Luka, everything is dribble between the legs, step back, boom.
I give you that.
So he's shooting a lot of contested, hard, 28, 30-foot threes. But Skip, and I think also, Skip, when you talk about Larry Bird, white, you look at their bodies, non-athletic, Skip, you don't say, but man, I love to see these guys probably just abbed up and got shoulders out the yin-yang.
Yep.
They don't jump like Zion, Skip. They don't have the speed like a Russ or a John Wall from court end to end. They ain't got handles like Kyrie or Steph or like Isaiah used to have.
Okay.
But
now, 2 quick last points. Cedric Maxwell did say in the end, I want to see one more gear from Luka, and that's the leadership gear. So do I, because Larry Bird was the ultimate leader of the Celtics. Yeah. And yet, Luka, I watch him just about every time he plays. I don't love his body language. They're now a 500 team. They're 16-16. This is the MVP favorite going into the year. And they've lost a lot of close late games. And when they do, he's pointing fingers. He's got some of that Aaron Rodgers going on where it's like, what are you guys doing? Why'd you let me down? Give me the basketball, whatever it is. I don't love his body language, and I don't think he's the unquestioned leader